What up? What up? What's happening, world? B March Boxing covering this fight. We back at it. Yeah, Joon Kim, late minute replacement, gets clapped up by the undisputed 122-pound champion, Naoya the Monster Inoue. You know what I mean? I had the feeling that the monster was really toying with this guy. Probably working on some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Uh, you know, he won every single round. It wasn't really a competitive round. This fight only went 4 rounds. But the monster definitely clapped him up in that fourth round. You know what I mean? That's when he started putting his punches together. He's more leaning on the front foot, applying pressure so he could load up, cock that left hand or right hand, whichever way the man Joe Kim wanted it, he got it. You know what I mean? And you could see he couldn't take them punches because the very first punch in the fourth round, um, big hard heavy punch that the man Naoya Monster threw, it affected Jae Kun Young or Jae Young Kim, excuse me. And he showed bravado. He said, "Come on, bring it." And you already know what time it is, y'all. When somebody do that "come on, bring it" type of stuff, like that punch ain't affect him. He was visibly hurt, and now he Monster stepped on the front foot, applied pressure, and he clapped him with a beautiful 1-2. You know what I mean? Looked like that 1-2 really and truly. Uh, he caught him with the jab, blinded him with the jab, and then he caught him with the straight right hand down the pike. You know what I mean? It was pretty nasty. It was pretty nasty. You know, he applied pressure. Throwing them hard, not leaping left hooks, but hard sweeping left hooks. You know what I mean? The guy was on the back foot, on the ropes, retreating. You know what I'm saying? Now we knew he cocked that left hand with the jab, blinded him, and the flush right hand caught the man. And you could see this guy ain't take a dive or nothing. Them few punches in round four bruised up his the left side of his eye. You know what I mean? Or the left side of his face, cause he couldn't get out the way of them straight right hands. You know what I mean? You check it. So now a Monster retains his title. Big ups to him. This was a late minute replacement, like I said. He was supposed to face Sam Goodman. The man from Australia, the guy who had the big upset. Was it about a year ago? On the American kid. What's his name? Alim. Somebody Alim. He was a guy who was fighting on PBC who was vying for these 122-pound straps. Was on fellas like what's his name? Cool Boy Steps. He was on his ass. He never got to fight him. He went over there, fought the Australian, and the Australian gave Alim that work. You know what I mean? But the Monster knew he said he wants to fight 3 times a year. This is basically a tune-up. Um, and he said at least one of the fights going to be in the United States and the other fight going to be in Saudi Arabia. So time will tell. What up, Jay Davis in the chat? What's good, my G? Salute to you. Thanks for checking through. Everybody in the chat, hit the thumbs up while you can. You know what I mean? The Monster Inoue retains his undisputed titles, puts on the show for his Japanese constituents, and I would like this guy to fight. They got this kid at 118 at bantamweight, another Japanese. I be confusing their names, and I'm not gonna hold y'all. I ain't been keeping up with them lower weights too hard body like I used to. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna hold you. I'm not gonna lie to you. Bam Rodriguez. I know these guys at 115. There's a guy. I'm forgetting his name at 122. Excuse me, at 118 at bantamweight. That could be a big fight, a massive fight in Japan. You know what I mean? This guy is a champion, and he's moving up in weight, and ain't no shit. It wouldn't be so much an advantage for the Monster anyway, man. I've seen this guy fighting since he was at 108 pounds. You know what I mean? So the guy's moved up in weight. He's a 4 different weight class champion. They call him the Monster now. ESPN, they definitely hyping up the man as they should. They call him the best fighter in the world. Um, I got him as a top two behind Bud Crawford. To me, it's also the skill set these fellas possess, and this guy definitely possesses the great skill set. But he hasn't had that fight where people say this dude gonna get beat up, this dude gonna get knocked out and overcomes that. That's what happened with Bud Crawford. You know what I mean? Bud Crawford, even Usyk, going into the Usyk fight with Anthony Joshua, I knew he'd beat him. It wasn't a surprise to me. You know what I'm saying? But the monster Inoue, he hasn't had that opponent. You know, and like I told y'all before, if you guys have been following my channel for all this time that I've been on YouTube covering boxing, I have no problem with the monster Inoue. I think he's a great fighter, sure shot, first ballot Hall of Famer if he retires today. The only issue I had with Slim is when dude was at 115 pounds and he ain't fight them killers at super flyweight when guys like Rungvisai was there. Could you imagine the monster Inoue versus Rungvisai, man from Thailand, a big ass fight over there in Asia, wherever they do it in Thailand and or in Japan? He never fought these guys. He never fought El Gallo, Juan Francisco Estrada. He ain't fight him. He ain't fight Chocolatito. Okay? He ain't fight none of these guys. And all these guys were champions in the same division at the same damn time. That really disgusted me. I ain't gonna hold y'all, man. When he went up to 118 and he didn't fight those guys. As a matter of fact, his only fight in the United States was on HBO, and that was supposed to be a build-up for the monster to fight the aforementioned, the guys I just mentioned, Rungvisai. And all these guys were pound for pounders. Chocolatito, Rungvisai, and and Juan Francisco Estrada, you know what I mean? And what happened? Juan Francisco Estrada and then Chocolatito fought 3 times, and I could barely remember them fights. They all looked alike. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like what's his name? What's his name? Uh, um, Chiquita Gonzalez back in the day when he fought what's the American Juan Carvajal. They fought 3 times. I seen all 3 of them fights, but only the first one was memorable. You know what I mean? You check it. So that's the only issue I have with the monster. If anybody wants to chime in the comment section after this video is done, or if you're checking it on the replay, please give me a good reason why the monster Inoue didn't fight those guys at 115. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, that's the only issue I've ever had with this guy. And I think he's definitely number 2, or could interchange number 2 or number 3 with Usyk. Now I give it up to Bud Crawford as the best pound for pound, because Bud Crawford is a guy they doubted. He's a guy they made fun of. He's a guy, even his fellow people of his own race, black folks, they discriminated against this guy and they called him all kind of degrading racist type of names. And all that man did was overcome. And people was when he beat the shit out of Errol Spence, people had to bow down. But guess what they doing now? They swearing up and down that Canelo gonna kill him. They praying on that man's downfall. And when the man Bud Crawford does eventually beat Canelo, now he should beat Canelo. I'm putting it out there right here, right now. In 2020 or January 24, 2025. He should beat the man Canelo. I'm favoring, even though Bud is the underdog. Ain't no way that big Mexican plotter gonna beat the man Bud Crawford. If Bud Crawford, a guy who's been doing this since he was a little kid, brings the skill set that he's supposed to the ring, he gonna beat him. Now I didn't like how Bud Crawford took a whole lot of punches. I ain't never seen him get punched up like he did in his last fight versus the guy Madrimov, all right? And that was Bud Crawford moving up in weight. A lot of people using that as a barometer to say Canelo gonna kill him. It is what it is, you know what I mean? But hey, Bud Crawford got dropped by the man Ilgauskas. Is that his name? Kavalauskas. I said Ilgauskas. Y'all know who Ilgauskas is? You probably don't. But Kavalauskas, right? He dropped the man. Bud looked bad in that fight. He eventually got up off the canvas, a knockdown that they didn't count. And, I'm a fair opportunist type of person. They should have counted it as a knockdown. But whatever the case may be, he got up and he beat the shit out of Kavalauskas, got the dub. A lot of people were thinking that Errol Spence is going to batter him or drop him and do blah, blah, blah. And that's not what happened, So I'm looking forward to Canelo versus Bud Crawford. At first I was concerned of the weight class as far as the weight difference. But at this stage of Bud Crawford's career, if this guy hasn't shown you his true stripes, true colors, this guy is who he is, then I don't know what to tell you, Mo. Jay Davis in the chat says, "Bro, just watched Inoue, and every time I watch this guy, I'm left thinking pound for pound number one. But who is he? Who is he? You can't call. Look, you could do what you want. I'm not gonna call the man pound for pound number one just because he clapped up a late minute replacement. That's what I'm not going to do. Even if he's beat up Sam Goodman, if the Australian who pulled out the fight, I think at least 2 times with an injury, I'm not going to go as far as call. You got to beat a pound for pounder for me to give it up to you. You know what I mean? That's stuff that Canoli don't do. Now, Alexander Usyk, why do I have him up there high? The guy came from cruiserweight, pulled some Evander Holyfield shit. Came from cruiserweight and been undisputed in 2 different weight classes. That got to mean something. Inoue is number 2 to me. If he's not number 2, he's number 3. Um, Steven Styles in the chat says, salute to you, my G. Uh, Jay Davis says he was green back then. No, that's an excuse. No, don't do that. You can't do that. Come on, Slim. That man was a 3 different weight class champion when by the time he was fighting up, or what? He was at what he was at 107 or what? Well, excuse me, 108, 112. That was his third weight class. He was a 3 different weight class champion. As a matter of fact, this guy, the monster, is probably like a 5 different weight class champion when I think about it. He was not green at all. As a matter of fact, those guys all fought each other numerous times. Older guys than the man, the monster in Inoue. And this the boxing game, Slim. This the fight game. The young man always has the advantage. The younger fighter. This is sports. He was not green. He wasn't green. He beat the shit out of guys like what's his name, Omar Navarre, and these type of guys, man. And these guys were long reigning champions. You know, nah, he ducked those guys. That's the truth about it. And if anybody can convince me otherwise, or come, like I said, man, on the replay when you listen back to this vid, if you want to give me a logical explanation why he didn't fight those guys, go ahead. But you can't convince me. You cannot convince me when he was in a weight class with with guys who are probably gonna go to the Hall of Fame. You know what I mean? Rungvisai, you saw what he did to Chocolatito, man. He laid him out on his back. You know what I'm saying? Something crazy. You know? I mean, he didn't fight those guys, but he fought Nonito Donaire, who was a little past his prime when he fought him, and he went life and death at least in one of them fights with what you call it with with Nonito Donaire. And you can't tell me this guy was green when this guy was a world champion when he was 6-0 in his sixth fight of his career. He won himself a WBC. What was it? 108 pound title. You know what I'm saying? Yo, you know what I'm saying? So nah, he wasn't green at all, man. You know what I mean? And then he went up to super flyweight. He even jumped flyweight. You know what I mean? He jumped a whole division and went up to flyweight, beat Omar Narvaez, knocked him out in 2 rounds. No, this dude is a vicious, he's a killer, the monster. But he ain't want no smoke for whatever reason with Chocolatito Rungvisai and Juan Francisco Estrada. Guys who are pound for pounders, you know what I mean? Um, yeah, but it is what it is, you know. They've been a replacement. Like I said, this is a tune-up fight. Um, I'm about to look up that guy's name. His name is escaping me right now. The Japanese dude. You okay? You need something? All right. Um, it doesn't matter at this point. You can tell me in the comment section. You know what I mean? I know who I'm talking about. I see his face. Nakatani. I don't know. One of these guys, these Japanese fellas, man. They, like I said, man, I haven't been doing my due diligence, hard body, watching the smaller weights below Chocolatito besides fellas like Bam Rodriguez, you know what I mean? And I rate Bam Rodriguez, he's a bad MF, one of the best fighters we have in the United States right about now. But yo, B March Boxing, I want to salute everybody in the chat. Jay Davis says, you right, you right. Salute to Jay Davis, salute to you. He says, ain't you worried about Crawford age versus Canelo? Nah, not at all. You know, Canoli is a guy who's preserved himself. You know, he's not a spring chicken either. But when I say preserved himself, he's avoided the tough fights. You know, the fights like David Benavidez. You know, he's completely disregarded that fight, and he said he's not going to give it to us just because of the mere fact that he'll possibly lose to that guy. And I'm not even one of them who says Benavidez beats him clearly. Benavidez is a good fighter, but I'm not worried about the age of Bud Crawford, man. Bud Crawford, like I said, Bud Crawford, if you don't believe who he is at this stage of his boxing career, you're gonna be like them fellas who was doubting Mayweather for like 15 years, who wanted Slim to lose, and they didn't believe in the guy. They thought each and every person was gonna beat him, and all they had ended up was just cake on their face. You know what I mean? Just sitting there sad and mad. I've been there with fellas at big fight nights, with guys who praying for Floyd Mayweather downfall. At the end of the fight, they just got a long face, got nothing to say, and just they're looking stupid. Bud Crawford at this stage of his career, I believe he is who he is. What he did to the man Errol Spence was just it was Judgment Day. It was the right. It was on the wall. The guy obviously Errol Spence. I had no inclination or any thought that the man could beat Bud Crawford. This guy's a football player, man. Like just like Sean Porter and these guys. These guys ain't start boxing from 5 years old. Bud Crawford been fighting since he was a kid on the streets, in the gym, whooping ass. Slim guy, he is a fighter, no question about it. The other guy is just a flat-footed southpaw who can get hit at any time, who is straight up and down with no special effects. And that's exactly what Canoli is. Straight up and down fighter with no special effects. The best attribute Canoli brings to the game, he has some good upper body head movement. Not so much with his feet, but he has good reflexes. And that won't mean nothing. I seen fellas like Bivol beat the shit out of him. And he thought Bivol was sweet. You know what I mean? Um, Stephen Stiles says Leon Spinks had only 7 pro fights when he fought Muhammad Ali. This is definitely the fight game. They're all professionals and knows what it takes to prepare. Yeah, you see, Leon Spinks is not Naoya Inoue though. Leon Spinks is who he is. He beat Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali was cherry picking. He probably ain't even trained for that fight. You know what I mean? And he got his title back in the rematch. And it was downhill for the man Leon Spinks after that. You know what I mean? He was getting beat left and right by fighters. My man Dwight Muhammad we put paws on him. You know what I'm saying? He ain't his brother. Let's put it that way. You check it. So, um, where we at in the chat? Oh, okay. I get you, Steven Styles. That was a response to being green. Yeah, and obviously, Leon Spinks was a name, a gold medalist in the 1976 Olympics. I love the '84 crew. I love '84 crew. Holyfield and my man Quicksilver. What's his name? My man Quicksilver. Man, his name's escaping me right now. My guy from the Dakotas or whatever. He won the silver medal. Holyfield, Pernell Whitaker, Mark Breland. You know what I mean? Terrell Biggs. Look. I love the '84 crew, but '76 they fought Cubans. The '84 guys ain't faced no Cubans. So hey man, you gotta put context into things. I'm not saying you in general, Mr. Steven Stiles. I'm just saying in general, you know what I mean? And the dude, like I said, came out that '76 class with fellas like Ray Leonard, you know what I'm saying, and these type of guys, but Michael Spinks, and he was a name, and the man Muhammad Ali was kind of cherry picking. I wasn't alive at the time. I'm just talking about in hindsight, it's 2020, right? Um, but yeah, man, B March Boxing, salute to everybody. Virgil Hill, there you go. Steven Stiles, salute to you, man. I love Virgil Hill, man. Virgil Hill was my guy. He wasn't the knockout puncher, but he got one of the best jabs I've ever seen. And this guy is who he is. A two-time light heavyweight champion, went up to cruiserweight. He was a great fighter, Sugar Hill, Virgil Hill. You know what I'm saying? People might know him for getting his rib cracked or broken, with that right hook by the man Roy Jones. But he was more than that. Just like Michael Spinks. People might know him for just getting knocked out, face looking up in the ceiling, when he gets knocked out by Mike Tyson. But this dude is more than that, man. Let's not, gotta put things in context. You check it. Yeah, Steven Stiles says Roy Jones' body punch was fire. Hell yeah, Slim. That man broke his rib. Had Quicksilver squirming around on the canvas. Big grown 175-pound man. He ain't no small dude. Yo. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, man. I'm looking forward to doing more videos in 2025. Yeah, every time I come on this piece, I tell you guys, 2024 was a very disappointing year for me in boxing. I didn't have much joy watching boxing because boxing was coming on like once every two. It wasn't a lot of good fights. People ain't fighting each other. Showtime PBC kind of folded. So a lot of fighters were inactive. We didn't get a lot of fights last year. I'm looking forward to what this Turkey Al Shakishi do, man, for 2025. And look, he bought the Ring magazine. They're gonna be bringing these fights to the United States. And I'm looking forward to everything that's coming for 2025. You know what I mean? There's a good card coming up, I believe, February 1st. I think it's Benavidez versus David Morrell. I'm looking forward to that fight. Looking forward to the undercard with Cool Boy Steph versus that guy they unified titles with. What's his name? I'm losing my touch with these boxing guys, man. What's that tall guy who don't use his reach and height? He be fighting like he a short little dude. He be fighting like that British dude Ball. You know what I'm saying? Brandon Figueroa, thank you, man. Steven Starr, salute to you. Where would I be on this live stream without you? Salute. Jay Davis says, how you see Benavidez versus what his face? Morale. I think it's gonna be a damn good fight. I think it's gonna be a damn good fight. Right now, I'd probably edge it to the man, David Benavidez. Because Morale doesn't have. He ain't fought nobody. That's just the truth about it. He's looked great in all his fights, but he ain't fought nobody. And in this fight game, experience means something, but it also could mean nothing. You know what I'm saying? It also could mean nothing. Um, but for me personally, how I gauge fighters, I gotta see you get tested a little something, you know what I mean? And I never seen that with David Morrell. Would I be surprised if he can and does win? I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be surprised. But as of right now, I'm slightly favoring the man David Benavidez. You check it. But yeah, man, B Marsh Boxing. Big up to everybody in the chat. Thanks for hitting the thumbs up. I'm about to get up out of here. I've gone for 22 minutes on a post-fight review. I salute everybody who came through the chat, and I appreciate each and every one of y'all for participating in the chat. You know what I mean? B Marsh Boxing. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Salute to all y'all. I'm gone. One.